This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Before we get into our episode today, we wanted to give a shout out to all of our new listeners. We are pumped to welcome listeners from around the world. At time of recording today, we have downloads from Canada, United States, Brazil, United Kingdom, Australia, Russia, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, France, Italy, Romania, Austria, Germany, Sweden, Israel, Netherlands, Norway, Hungary, and Bulgaria. And quite honestly, all I know about Bulgaria is they have a kick-ass Quidditch team. If you're in a country that we might have missed or our stats might not quite be up to date, you can give us a shout on social media and we'll make sure to recognize you next time. Since launching our podcast a week ago, we have received a lot of positive feedback and we are very excited to keep creating content for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. This podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by me, a first-time reader. I'm your host, Dani, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. This episode, we're going to be talking about Chapter 3, The Peddler.
Yeah, this was a really fun chapter to reread here, and I think I read it about 4 times today, so I'm pretty prepped with my notes.
You're really prepped. You're really excited. I've read it once.
That's good. That's good. And you did take lots of notes, though.
I took my notes, as always, of course. So, before we get started here, Brett, do you have any fun facts for us?
I always have fun facts about the Wheel of Time series.
You do?
Yeah, we can see. I wrote down lots of stuff about the series and about Robert Jordan before we started this whole endeavor, just because I was trying to prep with as much knowledge as I could.
Yeah, and I know you're really eager to share some of your
knowledge. I'll try and pick out some of the funner bits. The one thing particularly I like to talk about is Robert Jordan before he got into writing, because he had a really unique past before he actually got into writing this series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was born in 1948, but he didn't start writing until 1977. So it's not like he was writing for his entire life.
So some quick mental math. How old was he when he started writing then?
So like around 30-ish.
Yeah, okay.
So prior to that, he actually did 2 tours in Vietnam in the war. Yeah, and he was actually a helicopter gunner. So pretty active role in the war. And then when he came back, he got an undergraduate in physics, and he worked for the U.S. Navy as a nuclear engineer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
smart guy.
Yeah, incredibly smart guy. And then he got into writing in 1977. That's when he did those Conan books and a few other book series.
Right.
And then he got into writing The Wheel of Time in 1984, and The Eye of the World was published in 1990, so 6 years later. So it took about 6 years to do all the background work for this book series, and then he got into the book series and actually released the first one in 1990.
Okay.
Yeah, so right after we were born.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that, though.
Date ourselves too much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Brett. But that is a very fun fact about our friend RJ.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, his name is not actually Robert Jordan, that's a pen name.
Oh, I could have guessed that.
Yeah, his name's James Oliver Rigney Jr.
Oh, and he didn't want to go with that.
No. Robert Jordan had a bit...
I wonder why.
a little bit lengthy.
Yeah. Oh, well, he went for the 2 first names.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so we start out here in Chapter 3 with a new picture.
Yeah. An interesting picture.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It left a little more to the imagination. It wasn't as obvious as, 2 ravens. It wasn't as obvious as a wheel and an infinity snake.
Do you recognize it?
You know what it looks like? Sort of like a cornucopia on like a Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, like
a horn.
Yeah, filled with fruits.
Filled with like a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like reminiscent of like the Peddler and his cart with a bunch of good stuff.
Okay. I'm going to give you something to think about here.
Okay.
The symbol on our podcast is what?
The yin-yang thing.
Yeah, so this is half of
the yin-yang. Okay. So I'm way off with my cornucopia.
We can still accept it. I'm just saying that it kind of looks,
Okay. Okay, so that's funny.
Yeah, I like that. I like that cornucopia, though. Well, they kind of throw you off because it's like the half black, half white.
Yeah, and it's called the Peddler.
Yeah.
So I assumed it had something to do with the Peddler, so my bad.
Threw you off there a little bit.
All right, so let's just glaze right on over that.
Did you have more on the cornucopia thing? Or?
No, that was it.
Okay.
That's all I had. Okay, but so again, we jump right into the same scene that we last left.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the next moment with the peddler coming down the road with his pots and pans clanging and banging against the wagon full of crap. And we learn...
Giant wagon, too.
Giant, huge wagon
huge.
with wheels taller than men and 8 horses.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a lot for this, little guy.
Yeah.
Seems like. But his name is Paddan Fane.
Paddan Fane.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I got the Fane.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all that really matters.
Just call him Fane.
Yeah, so he seems like a happy fellow who shows up every spring for as long as Rand can remember.
Yeah.
So this is a really consistent guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way I look at it is the Emmons Field is so backwater. He's like the one guy willing to make the journey like all the way to Emmons Field with his wares. So, yeah, but like forever, like as long as Rand remembers.
All right, so this guy pulls up, attracts a big crowd, and clearly interrupts the village council meeting because he pulls up right in front of the inn, and it's all hustle bustle. So the village council comes out from the inn, out from their meeting.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone's super pumped for this guy to show up, but it's not just for his goods. They're also there for word of outside news beyond the 2 rivers.
Yeah, so he's kind of like the only news source, right? Like you don't have newspapers, you don't have
anything
like the internet or social media or anybody get news except for people literally bringing you word. So this guy coming in, this is the first peddler of the year, right? So like they haven't gotten news in probably months.
Right.
Months and months.
Months and months because it's been a long, really harsh winter.
Yeah, and they have got no idea what's going on in the outside of the world, so...
Okay, so it's an interesting point here is I found that there's actually lots of peddlers that have come around. So some have lots of news to share. Some are happy to tell the news that they have. Some are less pleased to share what they know. So the title of this chapter is The Peddler, which makes it seem like he's the guy.
Yeah.
Right? That's almost his title. But it's just he's one of many.
Yeah, he might be like the most consistent peddler to keep doing repeat trips, right?
Yeah.
So, but they probably, peddlers make their money by going to the villages and trading their goods. So.
Selling their crap.
Yeah, so he's probably just the most consistent.
Okay, well that makes sense. So I think we find out a little bit why he's the most consistent.
Yep.
Because he sure likes to be the center of attention.
Oh, huge. He's like, he loves the people just staring at him. Like he eats it up. 100%.
Yeah, his storytelling could rival a Glee Man.
Yeah.
So Rand thinks this peddler might not be happy to find out that there's a real Glee Man here.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's like secret news. Well, supposed to be secret.
Right. So, and it's more like a little bit of a competition for this guy who's used...
Yeah, he's like a big showboat, pretty much. Like, he likes to be the big fish in the small town, right?
Definitely. Yeah, right. And so, okay, so where we last left our heroes, Matt and Rand, they were last seen talking to Moraine.
Yep.
Or maybe last talking about Moraine after she had just given them their coins and had this weird sort of conversation.
Weird interaction, yeah.
With them. That's where we last left them. And so as the crowd is shouting and asking for news and what's going on, Matt and Rand join the group. And they see their other BFF, Perrin Ibarra.
Yeah, he's like the other best friend of the trio of best friends.
Little 3 musketeers.
Yeah.
The 3 best friends that anyone did have.
Yes, yeah.
So he's a short, buff guy who's the blacksmith's apprentice.
Yeah, well, shorter than Rand. So Rand's like the tallest guy in the village.
Oh.
And Perrin is a little bit shorter than him.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, he's a pretty jacked dude.
Yeah, he's jacked. He's buff.
He's like a mini Master Luhan, like the blacksmith, because he's the blacksmith apprentice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a really exciting time of year. So imagine it, says Perrin, a peddler and Beltane. Like, this is just amazing, amazing news. Really exciting. So this is further solidifying how boring and dull their lives must be.
Yeah,
like they're so pumped for this random man to show up to sell some stuff and tell them some things.
It's like the market, like buying stuff can't be that exciting,
right?
But I guess it can be.
Obviously, and as we will learn, he brings more than just his crap.
Yeah, yeah.
So Matt basically tells Perrin, yeah, and there's more. And I think he's probably referring to, obviously, Moiraine and Lan and all these other things that have happened to him and Rand specifically. But the crowd is growing too loud, and Rand says, well, I'll just have to tell you later. And right as he said this, the whole room goes silent, and he's the only one talking super loud, and the Peddler almost glares at him like, don't steal my moment here, man.
Yeah, it's like kind of speaking out in class, right, when everyone goes dead silent.
Yeah,
it's just
and
like,
I feel like that's probably happened to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
embarrassing.
Terribly embarrassing. But it's kind of funny, because Pat and Fane's clearly, like, building up the anticipation for this huge moment, right, everything but, and then just, yeah.
Yeah, and then Rand is concerned that maybe he might have lost some respect from the Peddler guy.
Yeah. Apparently last year, they just started getting recognized as men, right?
Yes. There's a huge divide here between young children and men, adult women. And I'm finding that a lot in these last few chapters, is it's really important to, especially maybe just at the age that they're at, where they're really taking notice of we're not children anymore, and they really
like
want to be considered as adults.
Yeah, like how adults kind of react to you, right? If they treat you like a child or if they treat you like an adult.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and they might just be more aware of it because of, like you said, their age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit, but in a very dramatic fashion, Master Fane tells the crowd that winter was shitty everywhere.
Well summarized. There
yeah,
you go.
there's east, west, north, everywhere. Everywhere was terrible, and if you guys think you had it bad, everyone else had it worse.
Yeah.
So stop your bitching, stop your complaining. There'd be people who'd be glad to only have your little troubles. And then, of course, Sam Buey, the complainer.
Oh, huge complainer.
Shouts out, what could be more worse than wolves killing sheep and men? And he goes, men killing men.
So dramatic.
So dramatic.
Yeah, Fane's just a performer here, right?
Yeah, it is war. So, in somewhere called
Gildan.
Yeah.
The paragraph prior gives, if you check out the map afterwards, it gives you the 4 extreme directions of what's on that map. So the oceans, the Isle, Waste, and the Blight.
Yeah.
Right? And then Gildan, which is the important part here, is actually immediately below, like just south of the 2 rivers.
Okay, so not like across the world.
Yeah, not across, it's like right next door. But since the 2 rivers is so tucked away in the mountains, it's not necessarily in direct danger, but it's close.
Right. Well, that would explain why, they have no news of any of this happening.
Yeah.
Even though it's so close, but they're kind of tucked away in their own secluded little village.
Yeah, definitely protected from the natural barriers.
Protected by the natural barriers.
Did I say from?
Yeah.
Yeah, protected.
Okay. I'm just trying to follow you here.
Protected by the natural barriers of the mountains. Yeah.
Okay, and then Fane also mentions something called the Dallin Forest.
Yep.
Dallin. Yep. What's with all these silent H's? Hey.
It's more mystical if there's silent letters, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it fancier.
Way fancier. Yeah, especially for fantasy writing.
Okay, so the Dallin Forest.
Yeah.
So this is where Bran the Mayor asks, why are they having a war?
Yeah, and then Fane, in kind of his arrogance, the next sentence says he's mocking the villagers because of their isolation. So and the ignorance of the villagers, which is kind of funny because he's like the only news source.
Yeah.
So as a news source, he's mocking the villagers. Like,
yeah, they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. Like,
they don't get out much.
Yeah, like at all. So
yeah, that's funny. So this is when Fane says the standard of the dragon has been raised and men flock to oppose and support.
And this is a neat part because we have met the dragon.
Right.
Yeah, in the prologue, we met the dragon, and now the flag of the dragon, or the reincarnation of the dragon, is being raised.
Oh, the flag.
Yeah, standard. As in,
oh.
not like his expectations.
Yeah, that's what I read it as. The expectations of the dragon have been raised. Like, there's a new standard of evil or something.
Oh, no, not like that.
Okay.
Well, maybe like that, but...
No, I think it's your way.
In this case, the flag of the dragon... is being raised, and it's also really interesting because he's saying men are both opposing and flocking to him, because in those passages in the prologue we heard about how men are going to, hate him because he destroyed the world, but also they're going to need him because he needs to save the world.
Yes, maybe.
Maybe. Hypothetically,
yes.
out of these passages.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If all passages are true.
Right. Okay, so here's where we get just a dump of information, and I think that you are in your heyday with this. This is your favorite part, information.
Oh, I love it, yes.
Yeah. So him saying this thing about the standard of the dragon has been raised causes a lot of rabble from the crowd. Everyone is like, oh my god, what's happening? There's
I feel like we're close to pitchforks here.
Yeah,
and torches.
Almost. Well, they don't know what's going on. This is huge news for them. They're like, what the heck? So we get cries of, the Dark One's loose, and then someone says, no, not the Dark One. The dragon isn't the Dark One. And someone says, this is the false dragon. But that's just as bad. So, like, what the hell what's all of this business?
Yeah, so I think the best way to summarize what's happening, like you said, it is a bunch of villagers rabbling about just this news that just was thrown on them. But it's also a lot of information versus misinformation, right? It's kind of like the fear-mongering of what people think
When
is
it's also
real.
like the difference of beliefs.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah.
So when we hear, hey, the dragon, and then someone associates the dragon
with
is the dark one, like literally is the same person, and then is corrected by Harold Luhan, the blacksmith, who we know is kind of a reputable source.
Sure,
right?
maybe.
Well, he's on the village council.
Well,
but,
like, maybe.
Yeah.
So is Senbui, and he's the worst.
But Harold Luhan has big arms, so we can probably
trust him? Is that... that's the standard?
Standard of trust. You have to trust someone whose arms are as big as tree trunks.
So we get a clarification. The dragon isn't the Dark One, but then this is a false dragon.
Yeah, so like what a false dragon is, right? It's all kind of like mixed up, if you will.
Yeah.
So you said, so you're not going into the glossary, so I want to give you a couple just quick glossary notes on what a dragon is versus
Enlighten me.
false dragon.
Enlighten me.
So a dragon is supposed to be the reincarnation of Luz Theron, right? Because in the passages we heard he's going to be reborn, and then a false dragon is what people are claiming, like it's literally a man saying, I'm the dragon, but it's turning out he's not actually the dragon.
Yes.
So it's like false proclamations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And so in the rabbling, more people are saying things like the dragon broke the world and caused the time of madness. So they're clearly believing that one passage of how the dragon is really bad and evil.
Yeah, which was what we pretty much saw was the beginning of the breaking.
Exactly.
When he turned into, what did you call it? Volcano Mountain?
Yeah, no, Volcano Man. You called him Volcano Man, and he's just Volcano.
Just Volcano.
He's Volcano. Okay. He's not a man.
Okay. Yeah, that was like...
But he turned into Dragon Mount.
Yeah, okay.
Is that fine?
We're good with that.
Okay, so I do find it interesting because there's another thing that one villager calls out and says, you know the prophecies. When the dragon is reborn, your nightmares will seem like your fondest dreams.
Yeah, so this sounds terrible.
Well, yeah, just crap.
Yeah.
Just the worst. But I find it interesting because we're in the Third Age, but they know about prophecies that happened in the Fourth Age.
Yes.
So, earlier when you said, do you think they might count down? I think, or count up? No, count down.
Yeah, like 4,
in
3,
time.
2, 1.
Yeah, but moving forward in time, counting down.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that you said that because that's what it is.
Okay, so is that what your official stance is?
Yeah, it is. Well, because they have these passages from the Fourth Age.
Okay.
That these people in the Third Age know about and recite.
Yeah.
So that's pretty clear-cut evidence in my book.
Okay. I will neither confirm nor deny that.
That's okay. Okay, so then more people are yelling out, it doesn't matter if this is a false dragon. The last false dragon, there was a war and thousands died. They laid siege to Ilion.
Yeah, which is another city, like south.
Just another place.
Yeah, another place.
Okay. No one claimed a dragon reborn for 20 years, but now it's happened 3 times in the last 5 years. This is evil times.
Definitely. So that's kind of like an indicator too, right?
Yeah, it's given us some history of what's gone on and what's happening here.
Yeah, so 20 years of nothing, then in the last 5 years, just like a huge rampant surge of dragons. Well, people claiming they're the dragon.
And it's a lot of wars to be sort of happening and breaking out and a lot of people dying in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, generally is always a bad thing, so.
Generally, yeah. I would say so. They also say it might be evil times because the season's been bad. So,
Winter.
Yeah. So winter's been bad, so this is evil times.
Yeah, it's usually evil times in wintertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's a war and the winter's bad,
It's extra bad.
It's definitely to do with the dark evil forces.
Yeah.
So at this point, Rand, Matt, and Perrin exchange looks, and Matt looks really excited.
Hilarious.
And Perrin looks really worried.
Yeah.
Which is regular.
Really speaks to their personalities here, too.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Matt's like the immature one who loves the idea of war.
Yes.
And Perrin's like the,
reasonable human.
Yeah, who doesn't want
who
war.
thinks it's worrisome that there's war and people dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we learn here in the next little bit that false dragons are actually men claiming to be the dragon reborn, and they don't end up living up to the prophecies, and they either die or disappear.
Yeah.
But they usually spark a war and still cause destruction, so they just leave a wake of terribleness, and nothing ever becomes of it, and turns out they actually weren't the dragon.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting point in this is that the dragons or the people claiming to be the dragon are not fulfilling the prophecies and therefore are not the real dragons. So it seems that prophecies have some weight in this universe too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They need to be fulfilled for this to be true. So.
Yeah, right. And then it's kind of like that where if everything that we believe in isn't true, what is there left to even live for?
Yeah.
For these people. This is all they know. This is all they've ever been told.
Yeah.
How could, no one else believes anything different that they know of in their little secluded village. So it's just almost impossible for them to think that this wouldn't be the way it is.
Exactly, yeah. Now, a quick note about dragon prophecy is when you're looking at the glossary definition, one really important fact that I do want you to know at this point is that in the prophecies, the world was broken 3,000 years ago.
Oh, so we have a distinct timeline.
So we have a timeline now based on what the false dragon and dragon prophecies are talking about, that the world breaking happened 3,000 years, so that was the Luz Theron event.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so time frame.
Okay, so at this point, the mayor attempts to shut everyone up, but Sen Bui refuses to stay quiet, as per character.
Like a jerk.
Yep. Takes advantage of this hush and asks the peddler guy, is this a false dragon? So the crowd starts up again because they're apparently really superstitious and this will bring bad luck and harm.
Yeah.
So they're like, don't even say it out loud, oh my god.
Yeah.
You just made the war even worse because you said that.
Yeah, you can't say the name. And, we did hear in the prologue that you shouldn't say the name of the Dark One.
He didn't say the name of the Dark One. He said, is this a false dragon?
Yeah, but it's kind of like that whole, bad luck thing is a real premise that's carried for the last 3,000 years, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, I don't know why they get all pissed off about this because other people were yelling, is it a false dragon? And stuff.
Yeah.
So, why are they mad about it
it's
all
just
of a sudden
it.
now? Just because he's talking, he's going to bring bad luck,
it sounds like he's just, relighting the fire every time it gets quiet. Sen Bui keeps just, shouting out.
Yeah, okay. So Sen, that's what I literally have written here. Yeah. Sen just keeps shouting about how it being a real dragon would explain why the spring sucks.
Yeah. It just keeps coming back to it.
So he says, I will not be silent. I have no liking for this talk either, but I won't hide my head under a basket till a Terran ferryman comes to cut my throat. Man, Terran ferry must just suck.
It's like the worst rap
ever.
The
worst people. Do you think there's a bunch of Terran ferry people ragging on Emmonsfield people?
Probably, just being sheltered.
And they literally have the same comments, but about Emmonsfield men.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, that's how most, I assume that's how most prejudices work in real life, too, right?
Yeah, that's pretty funny, though.
Just being terrible to each other.
Yeah, I like
no
all
reason.
of the little jabs that are just so subtle, and no one really talks about them, but they just keep bringing up.
And they all accept it.
Yeah, they're all totally used to it. They're like, those guys are the worst.
Yeah.
All right, so Fane says at this point there's no way to know if it's a false dragon until it's over, and he's 100% right about that, because that's literally how you find out if it's a false dragon, is if eventually he's not the dragon.
Yeah.
You just have to wait for him to either die or disappear.
Which sounds like a bad way to go about it, too.
Yeah. So he's pleased with the discord he's caused, though. He seems really, happy that he stirred everybody up, and he's brought such interesting news that everybody's just, claw dying for him to answer their questions.
He just loves being the center of attention, right? And it kind of comes back to that.
Yeah. So then he says that this false dragon, we don't know if it's a false dragon, but we know he can wield the one power and other false dragons couldn't. So he can channel and is using magic to defeat people.
And that's kind of a bombshell here, right?
Huge! So, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so we know like 9 in the last 20 years, 3 in the last 5, right? And then the other ones couldn't, but this guy can actually channel. So we assume that obviously the dragon has to be able to channel to be the real dragon, right? And that kind of makes sense if he's a reincarnation of Lews Therin, who we clearly saw being a magic user.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Who could wield the one power.
Yeah, so this guy who can... Huge bombshell.
Yeah. And at this, Matt still looks almost even more excited.
Yeah.
It's like a glint in his eye. He's so excited.
He probably thinks of it like a storybook, right? Like.
Yes, definitely. So then we learn some interesting news. That men who channel the power always go mad and die, and only women can touch it.
Yes, and we saw evidence of that in the prologue.
Right. And you also talked to me about the... Aes Sedai.
Yeah, Aes Sedai.
We talked about that last episode, where we talked about the warder who is bonded to protect the Aes Sedai, who are the women who can use the magic.
Yeah, and it makes sense that only women can use the one power. They can't only use it, right? But they're the only ones who don't go insane.
Right. So, is this because in the prologue we find out that... What's the male power called? saidin?
Yes, saidin is the male half.
Okay. We learn that it's tainted.
Yes.
By the end of Lews Therin's life... Lews Therin. I'm all mixed up. So by the end of Lews' life, we know that the saidin is tainted.
Yes.
So does that... Are we assuming that carries forward, and is the taint why men can't use it?
Presumably, as best the evidence says right now, yeah. It makes sense chronologically, right? Because Lews Therin did something, we don't know what, but then the Dark One had a counterstroke, and that led to the taint, and now we know all male channelers who have to touch saidin, the male half of the true source, all of them go insane.
And they all die.
Yeah, and apparently Lews Therin killed, presumably, his entire family from what it looked like.
Oh, yeah.
Probably because he was crazy.
Because he's the kinslayer.
He's the kinslayer. And he was crazy and he couldn't remember any of it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so this false dragon, or quote false.
Yeah.
This guy who started this war again.
Yep.
Is using magic and is channeling.
Yes.
So, either he is the Dragon Reborn, because, we did see that... the betrayer guy.
Betrayer of Hope, yeah.
We saw that guy was able to use magic and wasn't going crazy.
Yes, that's true.
Was it like another sort of offshoot of evil brand of magic?
Possibly. Like, he was clearly a bad guy.
Yeah, and he was fine.
Probably in alignment with the Dark One.
So is it possible that this guy who's using magic could be a reincarnation, maybe not of the dragon, but of that evil guy?
As far as we know, reincarnation is a real thing in the series, so it's totally possible.
And if the dragon is reborn, there's a potential that he's actually still a good guy, even though he's perceived as a bad guy.
Yes.
So if the dragon is reborn, chances are, from what we know from the prologue, that he might actually be the one to save everybody.
Yeah, and we also know that the Betrayer of Hope told Lews Therin, told the Mountain of Lews Therin that this is not over.
Yes. And that was 3,000 years ago.
That was like a huge to be continued, right?
Well, a little bit, because we just skipped 3,000 years, so it was only a little one for us.
Little one for us, long time for them, but yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, so I guess with that conversation, I'm thinking a little bit about sort of how we're going to move forward and what... Because I know that there are 15 books, and we're on page 60 or something. So... So
37.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, if this is a real war and they're all thinking it's a dragon, I bet it's not a dragon, but part of the evil side of the magic, and I bet that the Dragon Reborn might be one of our main characters.
Okay. That's like a big, bold statement you
Yeah,
just made there.
or the main characters have to go on some quest
Yeah.
to find him. Maybe it's like a real guy who's already around, and they have to stop this war.
Okay.
But we'll find out maybe in like 15 books from now.
Probably, hopefully, in 15 books you know what happens. So,
And hopefully a lot of interesting stuff happens along the way.
yeah, maybe.
Because if they're just like traveling...
It's just a lot of walking, actually.
No, that's the Lord of the Rings.
Right,
You're
yeah.
confused now.
It's all just...
That's different.
Just walking.
Okay, back to... Well, that was a big tangent.
Yeah.
Back to the Peddler. Let's carry on in chapter 3 here, where Senbui is still so super pissed off. Full-blown grumpy old man.
Yeah.
So Tam and Brand are trying to talk reason with him, telling him to calm down, and Sen says that decent folk shouldn't be talking about false dragons and Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
So this is all like poppycock, like bad omen crap to be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about any of this. We're just decent little farmers.
Yeah.
None of this affects us.
He's like the little old, prejudiced, racist, probably,
Yeah.
just like angry old little man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turns out they're all prejudiced against Terran Fairy guys.
But he's the worst of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the Peddler speaks up and says that the Aes Sedai are already into it. So it's not like, oh, maybe this guy's using magic. Maybe he's actually able to channel.
Yeah, so it's not like just rumors of people saying he can channel.
Well, technically this is all rumors because this
Yeah,
Peddler guy could be making this whole thing up.
Actually, that'd probably fall really...
Side story, he made it all up and none of this is
It's
happening.
just all fake.
Yeah.
Fake news.
And I mean, who would ever know?
Not these people.
Not these guys.
So, but yeah, presumably the Aes Sedai are involved, so that would mean that yes, he can actually channel.
And they've ridden south from Tar Valon.
Yeah, Tar Valon. So, on the map, and this is the really cool part that you need to look at the map and open the book. So remember in the prologue when I talked to you about that whole mountain rearing up, and then the one river...
And then the two rivers turning into two.
One river turning into two, splitting and going
Forking.
around an island. Yep. Not for it's literally going into and creating an island in the middle.
Yeah.
On the map,
yeah, okay.
Tar Valon is the city, is the center of the Aes Sedai power that's built on the island right beside Dragonmount.
Okay, all right. So that's where maybe a lot of the magic was kept. Is it something that could be like encapsulated?
Possibly.
And is it like because that...
Is it like a physical substance?
Like maybe where it was sort of held there when he was sort of turned into Dragonmount.
Okay.
And so that's why the women maybe flock there.
And built their power
hub, source hub there. Or maybe they congregated there because they know things that other people don't.
Possibly.
There's a lot of wild theories flying around this room right now, Brett.
We gotta make a board and then put them all up there.
You keep on saying that.
Seriously, bulletin board?
Yeah.
Good idea. But yeah, so Tar Valon is literally built on the island right beside Dragonmount.
Mm-hmm. And since this dragon guy can wield the power...
None but the Aes Sedai can feed him.
Yeah.
You can't beat magic without magic, apparently.
Which totally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's raining down fireballs
like no
on
muggle
you...
is beating Voldemort.
Actually, pause.
Oh, except the baby defeated Voldemort, and he really didn't do it. The
Or
love magic! The love magic!
Or like get a gun, maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
Shoot him with a sniper rifle from like a mile away.
Oh, is that why you noted there's fireworks and gunpowder?
That they're gonna shoot Voldemort?
No! The dragon!
Voldemort might be in the series,
No, they're
we don't
just
know.
gonna show up with a shotgun and blow up the dragon.
Yeah, it turns out that's how you beat him. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Shotgun.
Oh jeez, okay. So at this, everyone just starts freaking out again, and Tam whispers in Bran's ear. Bran nods and silences everyone for good this time.
Yeah.
He states that the council will ask Master Fane questions, and then everyone else can have at him after. And this is more important than just news from the outside.
Yeah, Tam kind of has a level head, and he's like,
Yeah.
this is getting out of control. We got to put a cap on this. We got to bring
'cause-
this guy inside. Because literally, Fane is just like pouring gasoline on the fire here. Like, he loves this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Sen just hates it. He's the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just gonna go back and forth for hours if no one puts a stop to this. So,
Yeah.
So I'm glad they do. So they go inside. Everyone sort of hangs around, starts realizing that they're not coming back out right away.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go off to continue, washing their sheets
Yeah.
for Beltane. Like, the wives have to finish cleaning and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they sort of get back to stuff. And then so after things seem to die down, Rand sits down to think about all these strange and exciting things. All these false dragons and Aes Sedai are things that you tell in, like, spooky ghost stories.
Yeah.
He specifically references, like, by candlelight in the dark.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of wild theories that they only know from stories.
Yes.
So, like, half of this stuff that we've been defining in their eyes might not even be true. And it's possible that it might not be true. But
Yeah.
I think you missed the most important part.
Oh.
Whit Conger
Yes.
didn't get his pins from the Peddler.
Oh, yeah, he was so big. But my wife told me I had to get those.
And Daze Conger's on the verge of already booting him out of the house.
Shit.
And he's not coming back with the pins.
Oh, yeah, Little Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't want you to miss out on his misfortune.
Yeah, he was really upset. He's like, I don't care about any of this. I need
My
those.
wife sent me to buy pins.
Yeah, I gotta get those. Okay, so back to Rand, who's pondering his life right now. He wonders what it would be like out there, living in the middle of a Gleeman's Tale, one long adventure, a whole lifetime of it. And to me, this seems like foreshadowing.
Okay.
Because you don't sit and wonder about what it's like out there and wonder about adventure. And then we learned that hobbits also don't like adventure.
That's true.
But that hobbit sure went on an adventure.
A big one. Yeah.
So I'm just throwing another wild
That these
guess
boys might
out
go
there
on an adventure?
that they might go out and live in the middle of a Gleeman's Tale.
Okay. It'd probably be a really boring book series if
Oh my
they
God.
stay in this village the entire...
If I have to listen to these old men complain more, I think I'm just going to be done.
Turns out real life kind of not as exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
So Matt and Perrin find Rand. Matt says maybe we will see the false dragon, and Perrin wants none of that.
Yeah.
He's like, absolutely not, no way, no.
So does Perrin seem like the not fun friend in the group of three?
Like the super reasonable,
Yeah.
guys, we can't drink too much, because
Yeah.
then we'll feel bad tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
He's that guy. He's probably the guy who says, like, we shouldn't drink at all because I have to get up and blacksmith in the morning.
Yeah, he's always
Yeah.
the DD.
Yeah, for sure.
Every group has that one friend.
Yeah.
And every group has that one friend. Well, you know who I'm talking about. But
Yeah, I do.
That's that guy, the reasonable one, who's not really up for things, but sort of wants to tag along because,
He's still a friend.
he's still part of the group,
Yeah,
but we just accept him the way he is.
Yeah.
We're going to go on our adventure, but if you don't want to drink, then you're at least going to drive us. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what it
It's a good summary.
That's what it comes down to. So Rand agrees with Perrin. In a way. I think that he's sort of the middle ground, where
Yeah.
he's super curious, but he's reasonable.
Yeah, like, it'd be cool to see the false dragon, but, like, how about not here? Like, maybe somewhere else.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So we learn that they think the Aes Sedai caused the breaking.
Yeah. So the dragon, they think, started it.
Yes.
So apparently there's tons of versions of this whole story going
Huge.
around,
That's
too.
what we sort of learn in the next couple chapters.
And I think we know, yeah.
Paragraphs here. Because, so the dragon may have started it, but the Aes Sedai are the ones who actually broke the world.
Yeah.
So apparently everybody who has anything to do with magic is bad.
Just, yeah, at least has a negative connotation to it. And I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like, 3,000 years can really change any story.
Yeah, and there's also a story that Matt tells them about how the dragon will be reborn to save them all.
Yeah.
And to be afraid of the Aes Sedai and the Children of the Light.
Yeah.
So that's like a backwards story.
Yeah, yeah. Now, little glossary dump here.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Children of the Light is a thing, too. Right? Kind of like Warders was a thing.
Not Children of the Forest.
Yeah, not Game of Thrones. Right? Different book series.
Right.
But just to give you a quick glossary definition of the Children of the Light. So, Children of the Light are a strict military society that are not necessarily tied to any nation, but they're like an organization that is built on rooting out evil. So they are straight warrior men.
Nazi hunters.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
That's what
yeah.
I thought of when you said that.
It's like
that was like word
Inglourious Bastards
association.
type, yeah.
When you say a thing and I say the first thing that comes to my head.
Yeah,
that's
and that's fair. So their original intention was to root out evil, root out dark friends. Dark friends is a term in this book for like people who sided with the dark one, obviously,
Yeah.
dark friends. The issue is that their views are really, really rigid, and they also view all Aes Sedai, and in turn most women, as evil.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, so they're kind of like that. Their original intention was a good premise of rooting out evil, but they've diverged from that and kind of gone down, kind of like a, militaristic, we're going to root out everybody.
So it's kind of like if Nazi hunters kind of found all the Nazis and then decided to just, hate all the Germans.
Yeah, turn attention on the wrong source of what's actually going on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
So in the chapter when they say you should be afraid of the Aes Sedai or the Children of Light, there's similarities where you should be wary about the Children of Light too, because they might think you're just an evil person too for no reason.
Right. So Perrin thinks that Matt's a fool to believe the Coplans talk.
Yep.
So the Coplans talk, I think we already know that the Congers and the Coplans are the troublemakers, the complainers.
Yep.
Maybe gossipy, rumor spreading.
Yeah.
Things like that. So this is Copland's talk about how the dragon's actually the good guy.
Yeah.
And so they go on talking about what they actually believe or don't believe. It seems like quite a deep talk for these just sort of three friends to be having.
Yeah.
I guess in light of this whole situation happening, I bet they haven't sat around and had a discussion about their beliefs before.
Yeah, and clearly they haven't ever really had an experience of war in their lifetime being close.
What happened to the 3 false dragons in the last 5 years? Why is this such a surprise to these people?
I would assume proximity. Right? The other dragons could have been somewhere a little bit further away.
Maybe.
Clearly news doesn't travel very fast.
So by the time they heard of it, maybe it was over?
Long done, right? So, yeah.
Okay. And also no real news of them being able to actually use magic.
Yeah.
Those other false dragons.
Yeah. And that seems to be a big indicator, too, of what a real dragon might be.
Right. Okay. So in the same sort of conversation that they're having about their beliefs and who believes what, Matt says that some old guy, old Billy Conger, named the Dark One. And so this is kind of like a Voldemort situation.
Yeah.
Rand seems shocked. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that is absolutely taboo. You can't say it.
Do you remember the name of the Dark One?
Shaitan?
Shaitan, yeah.
Yeah, Satan.
Satan.
In Arabic.
Yeah, the devil.
See, I listen to things you say.
Yeah.
So Matt says, yeah, I heard him say it, and then his fields got cutworm when no one else's did, and then everyone in his house came down with a yellow eye fever, but now the guy is a little bit more superstitious, and even when Matt tries to make him say it again, he won't.
Yeah, because, shit actually happened, so.
Yeah, kind of interesting, a little bit back story about this sort of era that they're in. There's something called yellow eye fever, which, I mean, is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You get yellow eyes and have a fever, you're a little jaundiced probably.
Yeah, little eye infection, so.
Yeah, maybe, that's it. Yeah, right. Okay, so he won't say it again. Yeah. Old Billy Conger won't say it again, and this is definitely from the prologue. It's Shaitan.
Yeah.
When Luce Theron said the name was dangerous, and Alan said, "Ha! Only for you."
Yeah, so there might be real implications to actually naming the Dark One, right? If Luce Theron said it's a dangerous name, and then they don't say it, but this guy did say it and bad stuff happened, there might be some real life implications.
Yeah,
clearly not you're gonna die, right?
Sure.
But you're gonna
As
be
Judge
uncomfortable.
Judy says, she doesn't believe in coincidences.
Yeah. It's the Dark One's gonna give you severe diarrhea or something.
Oh, Jesus!
It's just it's not the worst. It's not fun.
It's like a plague.
Yeah.
It's some frogs will rain from the sky.
A medium bad plague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just for you.
And just and your family.
And your family. The family didn't say it. Yeah. Okay, so they're having this conversation about clearly things maybe they shouldn't be talking about or things they haven't talked about before that most people don't talk about in this area. Yeah. Nynaeve, that's how you say it, right?
Yeah, Nynaeve, yeah.
Okay. Has overheard them and comes to scold Matt with her stick. So careful because she'll whomp you with it. Yeah. So she's using his full name, so that's how you know he's in trouble.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Real trouble. Matrim!
Yeah.
Don't be talking such foolishness, right?
Yeah.
So...
Does she have her club with her this time?
Oh, probably. I think she always has it.
It's probably safer to bet she always has it.
Yeah. Okay, so Rad notices that Egwene is with her.
Ooh.
And this is the first time we get to see our little weenie.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll call her Eggy instead, because little weenie sounds terrible. That's bad. And apparently she's too beautiful to be a weenie. So
yeah.
she can just be Egwene. So we get a first glimpse of her, and Rand has to fight the urge to just straight up run away.
Yeah, so we kind of get that whole, teenage boy, pretty girl fear.
Yes.
It's a real thing.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, shit. Like, I really want to see you, but oh my god, the last thing I want to do is see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. So, Egwene is pissed off, too, because she's following Nynaeve and also heard them talking about this. So, we learn that she is 2 years younger than Rand.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I assume they'd be the same age. But I guess about 2 years difference is still, obviously they grew up together.
Yeah.
So Nynaeve starts questioning Rand about why they're talking about such things. And Egwene has a slight smile to this, which is kind of cute, because she thinks it's funny that Rand's
being
razzing
him.
Scolded. Yeah.
Well, and Egwene's kind of mirroring Nynaeve's language and body language. She's clearly just following in the footsteps here.
Yeah, and so Rand explains about the Peddler because Nynaeve apparently missed the whole thing.
Yeah.
How did you miss that? The whole village was involved.
Well,
she was off curing someone or something.
Yeah.
She missed it all. I don't understand how someone doesn't even hear this or notice that literally everyone's gone.
Well, she was clearly right into healing or helping save this woman from
something.
Yeah.
Yellow eye fever. Some plague.
Yeah.
And so wasn't aware that any of this happened. So she firmly states that the men of the council will ask all the wrong questions and only the women's circle will find out anything useful. And she goes straight on into the end to interrupt what the village council is questioning the Peddler about.
Yes, which I'm sure the village council is going to be super happy about.
Appreciate.
Yeah,
they're really going to like that. They're going to be like, phew, we didn't know what questions to ask. Thank goodness you're here.
Yeah. I really like the whole, the village council thinks that just the men have to do it.
Yeah.
And the women's circle think that just the women have to do it.
Yeah, like real life.
It's 100% accurate. Yeah. This is, yes, on point.
So Egwene doesn't follow Nynaeve into the inn here and jokes with Rand about getting scolded.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of reminds him of when he was 10 and got in trouble for going into someone's field or something.
As you would do as a farmer boy.
Yeah, so a lot of background just about how they really have grown up together.
Yeah, they really have, right? There is a big relationship here. And they clearly have kind of been, joined together as they're supposed to be a couple for a long time.
Yeah, I get that. And so she's sort of joking with him, and then he just blurts out, "Will you dance with me tomorrow?"
So Rand blurting out words is a perfect example of how guys, when they're around girls they like, you cannot think straight. Rand actually says something, thinks something really funny in the previous page. He says, at the best of times, he was never very nimble with his tongue, not like Perrin. So Rand clearly thinks that Perrin is good with the women, and he just can't get his words straight.
Right, maybe it has something to do with his big arms.
Possibly.
Like the confidence factor.
Exactly.
Because it's feeling more and more like Rand isn't very confident, isn't really... He's a little bit self-conscious, maybe, of himself.
Definitely shy around Egwene. So him blurting out, "Will you dance with me tomorrow?" and not being what he wanted to say is 100% accurate for what happens.
Right, okay. And so she says yes, which is pretty cute. She's all excited, a small smile, and she says that she'll have to dance with him in the afternoon because she'll be busy in the morning.
Yeah.
And he says, busy? Busy how? And she pushes back her cloak hood to reveal a braid.
Huge news.
Oh my goodness, huge effing deal.
Yes.
Big fucking deal right now, BFD.
Yes.
So, turns out she's of marrying age, because that is what this braid represents. And in the morning, what do they do? What's happening?
So in the morning time, all the unmarried women of eligible age dance around that big spring pole.
Gotcha.
Right.
All morning?
I probably for an hour maybe.
With their clothes on, are we assuming?
We assume clothes on. For the TV series, probably clothes off.
Oh yeah, well I guess it depends.
can only assume they need the ratings. So
Yeah. Okay. So it has just occurred to Rand that she's at marrying age at the same time that he is.
interesting. 2 years younger, but still same eligible.
It's
marrying
not
age.
that interesting. We all know women are more mature than men.
Men need the extra 2 years to
Yeah,
mature.
it makes way more sense.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how do men know when they're of marrying age?
Well, that's an easy answer. We're never actually ready. So
But I mean, in this book, so it's pretty obvious that Egwene waited to get her braid, and I still think it has something to do with the whole becoming a woman, probably getting her period.
probably.
So that she's ready to have babies. Because you can't get married before you have babies,
Yeah.
realistically.
Probably.
So it probably has something to do with that. And I'm going to say they wait for this, and they all know they're of marrying age because of this. And they get their braid, and everybody else knows it too. But for the men, like Rand and Matt and Perrin, for example,
Yeah.
like people who are, or other girls who are Egwene's age might not be of marrying age.
Sure. Yeah, and that's totally possible too.
So how would they know with the men? Do we know that, or are we just assuming
We don't know. We
he's
have
old
no.
enough and he's maturing? So
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
like a can you provide for the family yet? If yes, then yes. If no, then no. Right.
Okay. All right, whatever then.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on.
But it's kind of funny that Rand doesn't even connect the dots and like just blurts out, "What are you doing in the morning? Why are you busy?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, but she's got this braid, so
Yeah,
it's
and his brain just isn't working.
yeah,
'cause-
and then he sort of lamely says, just because someone's old enough to get married doesn't mean they have to right away.
Yeah.
we don't have to get married tomorrow.
yeah.
Just because we're dancing doesn't mean I want to get married right now.
Yeah, it's pumping the brakes
Like,
here.
what a lame guy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, commitment phobe. So she says, yeah, or ever.
Yeah.
Which is, a little dagger to the heart there. What do you
Little
mean?
bit.
What do you mean, or ever? So it turns out Nynaeve has been teaching her about being a wisdom, and a wisdom almost never marries.
Yeah.
She says that Nynaeve has told her she has a gift and can learn to listen to the wind, and so she's been almost apprenticing
Yeah.
with Nynaeve.
So what do you have any ideas why wisdoms almost never get married? Just the position of power, or what do you think?
Well, probably because men cloud your brain and your judgment, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
And probably because maybe she shouldn't have children.
Okay.
Like, if she has this important role, she can't really be focusing on other people or other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a totally, incomprehensible notion of certain positions, don't get married,
Yeah.
et cetera, but yeah.
Is there something special to note there that I should know?
No, I just wanted to see if you had any
I see.
ideas, right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it's
that's
just something
the
they
idea.
say, right, that they almost never marry.
So naive Rand doesn't really get it and says, well, how are you going to be a wisdom? We already have a wisdom, and she's quite young.
Yeah.
And a wisdom can be a wisdom for like 50 years or more. So what are you going to be, Naive's apprentice forever?
Yeah.
And she says, duh, idiot, I can leave here.
Yeah. So like dumb boy brain, not even connecting the dots.
I don't even know if that's boy brain. It seems like Two Rivers brain.
Yeah, of like don't
Or
leave home.
Emmonsfield brain. Yeah. Like, this is where we live, and that's it.
This is where we'll always live.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to inherit his father's farm and live on his father's farm forever.
Yeah, so she says, hey, idiot, I can leave here. A lot of other villages get wisdoms that are from other places to avoid sort of bias and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense if you're in a huge position of power, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be biased towards
Yeah,
certain...
and then she sort of jabs Rand. Not that you've really given any reason or given anything like looks like you care.
Yeah. So do you think she's kind of like looking for Rand to...
Yeah, give her a sign. She says,
Yeah.
you haven't given me any sign that you care if I leave. And so he needs to say, oh, I do care.
Yeah, and he does not pick up on
He
this.
doesn't do that. So they argue for a while, and Matt and Perrin interrupt them to tell Rand that Perrin got a coin from Moraine, too. And he's also seen the rider.
Really interesting.
Oh my god. Just information bomb.
Yeah.
So,
huge.
not only are Matt and Rand in this together, but their other BFF is right in there with them. They're all on board.
And Perrin's the most fun of all of them.
Yeah, I like.
So.
Well, okay. Yeah. No, he's not. You tricked me. I thought you were saying Matt.
Yeah, no. No, you're bringing your super responsible friend for this journey.
Well, you know what? Maybe he'll be like the mom, and he'll like make sure they always have food and a place to stay. But anyway, so they basically interrupt this awkward situation with Egwene, and Rand is distracted by this, and it's a big deal. So they're all in this together. Whatever this is, they're going forward. Egwene butts in with a, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
It's like they forgot she was right there. Like, what were they thinking?
She's trying to be flirtatious with him.
Like, wait till Rand's alone, guys. What are you doing? So they didn't seem to realize that she was listening somehow. And Matt and Perrin blurt out everything to her while Rand just stays silent. They just tell her everything. We saw this cloaked rider. No one else saw him. Then we talked to Moraine and she gave us these coins. And she gets all pissy and tells him that he shouldn't be spreading stupid stories to scare the children.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's coming from Matt, I mean, like, Matt doesn't have the best reputation here.
No,
so.
That's the issue here. And he clearly has no tact either, because look at who you're talking to. This person who's walking around with Nynaeve, come on. She just scolded you for talking about such crap.
Yeah.
Maybe Egwene used to be fun. Maybe she used to play around with them and like was one of the bros when
as
they were
kids.
As kids.
That kind of makes sense.
So maybe they didn't. Maybe they're like, hey, you too?
Yeah.
Right?
Just one of the guys.
Maybe Rand is the only one who's realized that she's actually a girl.
Yeah. And maybe he barely knows. It's like...
Yeah. All right. So they start arguing again when a shaggy man with white hair comes busting out of the inn. The end.
Yeah. Cliffhanger. There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So that's it. And I'm going to say this is most likely the Glee Man.
That is a good guess.
Thank you.
Because the next chapter is obviously called
The Glee Man.
The Glee Man. So it kind of these chapters are we're just literally getting introduced.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I know.
Building a cast of characters. But I mean, you kind of have to build a cast.
There's a lot of interesting information here, though. Like,
yeah.
We covered a lot of good background in this chapter. So a lot of information gathered. A lot of history from this age, as well as recent history about wars from the past 20 years or so. So most likely all of them within the span of Rand's life.
Yeah, this is all like recent, within Rand's life, because we're still assuming he's around that age.
Yeah, so we also learn more on the magic system between men and women.
Yep.
Which I like that sort of balance and
we can kind of connect some dots to the prologue now about what actually happened versus... 3,000 years later, what people think now, all the...
Yeah, the different beliefs that might happen, and then maybe even different beliefs that'll happen that people are believing outside of the Two Rivers.
Yeah, because this is a very, very narrow view of the world right now.
And this story we got was specifically from the point of view of the Peddler.
Yeah.
There was no other point of view that we saw. Or other perspectives, really, that we saw about this war from real fact from people who have been there. And
like the only knowledge we're getting is from the Peddler.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and he's just the kind of guy who wants to say whatever he can to, like I said earlier, pour gasoline on the fire, right?
Yeah.
Like he just wants to make it so he's the, biggest thing in town, all the attention.
And then the other point about this chapter is the meeting of Rand and Egwene was kind of built up. And it didn't go as well as one might hope.
I think it went pretty realistically, though, because, like, in our heads, we want to all be, suave and smooth with the girl that you like. But in reality, you kind of just say stupid shit that your brain doesn't really know what it's saying.
And then again, the woman isn't saying everything she's thinking. She's just hoping, well, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you,
and
type of situation. He's got no clue.
Yeah, and he's not even picking up on what he's supposed to be saying.
Yeah, he doesn't get it.
Yeah,
he just knows, like, oh man, she looks annoyed. What's going on?
Well, it's kind of funny because if you look at it from Egwene's perspective, he's being kind of a huge dick right now because Egwene's saying, hey, I want to go outside the Two Rivers. I want to go and explore, and I want to maybe move somewhere else. And Rand's saying, why would you want to go anywhere else? That's stupid.
But I don't get that because her saying that mirrors almost exactly his thoughts about what it would be like to go on an adventure outside the Two Rivers.
But in his mind, he's thinking, what would it be like? But he kind of pulls himself to back his own...
Realistically, we can't go anywhere.
Yeah, we can't go anywhere. I'm going to live on my farm until probably Tam dies of old age, and then I'm going to take over the family farm.
With my wife.
My wife, right?
My good wife, yeah.
Yeah, the good
So,
wife.
my biggest question to you is, will they dance together tomorrow?
That's a good question.
Is there a point if she doesn't want to get married?
Ooh.
Because it's kind of like a courtship
ritual I think I might
situation.
Have said, like arranged marriage. Like they've kind of been...
Yeah, so if she doesn't want to get married, is there a point to them dancing?
Ooh. Is there a point? Yes. Right? There could be some short-term fun involved, but...
Right. I get it.
You
Nudge,
know.
nudge. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, long-term, I mean, I guess we'll have to see what happens with
Yeah,
the
it
relationship.
kind of sounds like another wild theory. She's probably going to go on an adventure also. Because she's the one who actually wants to leave.
Yeah. Well,
out of all
Matt.
of them. Well, Matt never really fully said, what's it like outside the Two Rivers? I'm going to leave.
He just looks super excited.
He's just like, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah.
He's just pumped up no matter what.
Yeah. So I got a couple of questions I want to ask.
Yep.
And I also want to bring up a couple things that I forgot to mention during the chapter that I thought were kind of important, but questions first. So with this whole coins and rider thing, so we know that the three boys, Perrin, Matt, Rand, have seen the rider. We also know that there might be a couple other boys who may have seen the rider. We don't really know their names or anything, but we know that there might be some other people. And we know Moraine gave coins specifically to Matt, Perrin, and Rand.
Well, she also gave a coin to Ewan. Ewan. But I assumed that it was a different coin.
Yeah, so do you think that there's some sort of connection between boys who have seen the rider and boys who Moraine have given coins to?
Yeah, completely.
Do you think
of course.
Do you think she knows who the rider has seen?
I don't know if she knows who the rider has, or who has seen the rider.
Yeah.
I think that she knows something about these boys that they don't know, maybe.
Okay.
And I think that they have happened to see this rider. And I think she's there because maybe there's some danger lurking about. Okay. Because we know that, what's it, Gillian? Gildan.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. The war in
Yeah,
Gildan?
it's pretty close. Yeah. So if there's evil traveling a little bit north of where they are and heading into these two rivers, then maybe that's why she's wandering there, and she knows that Matt, Rand, and Perrin will be able to help. Okay. She spotted them or whatever.
Something like that.
Somehow. And then I think by happenstance, they've also seen this rider who's revealed themselves to these guys.
Okay.
And so I do think there's a connection. I don't know if she 100% knows that they've seen a rider. Okay. But I know there's a connection. I just don't know what it is.
There's a connection, but we're not sure what. Okay, I like that. Now, I just had a question because I wasn't sure if you picked up on this. So when Rand and Egwene are having their little conversation spat, and Egwene is talking about Nynaeve teaching her.
Yes.
So Nynaeve tells Egwene that she has the talent that she can listen to the wind. And then she also goes on to say that Nynaeve says that not all wisdoms can.
Yes, I did pick up on that.
But she can. So not all wisdoms can, but
even
Egwene
if they
can.
say they do.
Even if they say they do or they can listen to the winds, right? Not all of them can.
Maybe Nynaeve is one of the ones who can't. And she's pretending to.
That's why she's become really wrong.
Yeah, she's really wrong.
Yeah.
She's super pissy with everyone who even remotely questions her.
It's like calling her out on it.
Yeah, and she's just overly defensive. She's like that kid who has told a lie and is in too deep that they just get really mad if you try to call them out on it.
Yeah. Because, if you have experience, you can probably figure out what, weather patterns, what things might be. Yeah. But when it gets complicated...
Chances are, though, if she really couldn't listen, she probably wouldn't tell Egwene that.
Yeah, if she couldn't, then she probably wouldn't be
telling. Wouldn't be like, hey, I can't do this. Some of them can. I can, though.
Definitely can.
I definitely can. Definitely can.
And maybe that's why she wants to send Egwene away?
Yeah. I don't think that's it.
Probably not.
It's just a probably definitely situation.
Yeah. And then just to end, one of my favorite characters from these chapters is Tam. It's kind of funny. He's like the level-headed dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that what you strive to be?
I try my best.
That's your goal in life?
Yeah.
Just be Tam.
Yeah, just be like Tam. But he says something really interesting.
Do you find yourself connecting more with Tam the older you get? Did you used to wish to be Rand?
Oh yeah, 100% want to be like Rand and Matt and Perrin.
And now you're old and a dad and you're like, I love Tam.
You're more like Tam.
The best.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
That's pretty cute.
Yeah, but it'll be funnier later on. So when Sen Bui's going on his rant.
Yes.
And he says some things shouldn't be talked about, and he's going on that whole spiel about we should kind of lock this down, not talk about this. Mm-hmm. Tam says, I never saw or heard or smelled anything that couldn't be talked about.
Ah.
Yeah, I think it's just like a really, really good viewpoint Tam has of the world, where he's like the super level-headed farmer guy. Like, he takes care of his son by himself.
Yep.
Probably for a long time.
Yeah, he's really into just like open, clear communication.
Yeah.
Let's talk this shit out.
Yeah, and he's the guy who told Bran to like, hey, let's get the peddler into the inn so we can stop this like just big rabble mob. So like a lot of things he talks to Rand about Egwene and like how to keep the flame in the void to keep his head clear, which Rand obviously completely forgets about while he's trying to talk to Egwene.
Ah, shit, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Except that it's like mostly just void.
Yeah.
That's all he's got.
It's just void.
It's all just void up there.
Yeah.
There's no real clear thought.
Yeah, he just seems to have a lot of good advice for a lot of people. So, but yeah, I definitely strive to be a lot like Tam.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, I guess onwards to meet the Gleeman now, hey?
Yeah,
Possibly,
I guess so.
big, shaggy, white-haired guy?
Yes, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know who else would be staying in the inn who they're startled by entering in a huff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or exiting in a huff, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I think that'll do it for this episode of The Wheel Weaves.
Yeah.
Thank you for my Wheel of Time therapy session.
Absolutely, yeah. We finally got to meet Egwene and, well, Eggy and Rand, right?
Yeah, they're little... I don't think they have a very good celebrity name, so...
Yeah,
I think we'll just go.
No update on the Badger yet either, so...
Oh my goodness, I'm getting more and more concerned, and I just think at this point, it's getting less and less likely we're ever going to know what happened to that Badger.
That'd be the worst.
I'm going to write a fan fiction about the Badger.
It's probably been done.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll look for it.
Yeah.
Let me know. Let me know if you guys have ever know about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right. Thanks, Brett.
Yep.
Let's go meet the Gleeman.
All right, let's go.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Wheel Weaves. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. It does mean a lot to us and makes a big difference. Please tell your friends or anyone who might like us or anyone who's thinking of getting into the series. You can find us on social media on Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast and on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. If you feel like you'd like some bonus content and waiting a week is just too much for more of The Wheel Weaves, you can also find some insider exclusive looks, and to support us making great content, you can head to patreon.com/The Wheel Weaves Podcast. Thanks to Audionautics for the music, and thanks to you awesome listeners. See you next Tuesday.